Welcome, everybody. It's June 1st. Wow. Happy June 1st. This is our weekly MPA call. Gary is feeling a bit under the weather. That's why you see his beautiful family and not his gangster face. So we're going to do a Q&A call today. I know we went through a lot of financials information over the last 2 weeks, so do want to follow up and see if you all have completed your spreadsheets and done your financial due diligence, and then open it up for some Q&A. Sandy, I know specifically you had some questions yesterday that I want to address today as well. So let's start with the financials piece. Stacy, were you able to review the last two calls?
I haven't completely reviewed them, but Gary and I we were going into that right before we started those calls anyways.
Excellent.
But I do have one question on the income part of it, or the revenue. So I do automatic payments, the auto detail through MindBody. And I always find it so hard to decide what's actually gone into my account. And, because it comes out, it's all billed on the same day, but it doesn't go into my bank account the same. So I'm like, what do I track? What should I track on my budget and financial papers?
I always count the money when it hits the bank, because until it hits the bank, it's not real, right? You can spend it if it's not in your bank account. So I always count the money as it hits the bank. So if it comes out on MindBody on the 1st, but it doesn't hit your account until the 3rd, I wouldn't count it as actuals until the 3rd, till it actually is in your account and you can see it and spend it. Or allocate it. I shouldn't say spend it, allocate it. Now, are you reconciling, what comes out of MindBody to what goes into your bank account?
That was my next question. Do you go and reconcile it? Because still I haven't found a really clean way or easy way to do that. I wish they would attach a statement to whatever is going into your account, because it's attached to a transaction. It's like, I wish that you could push that button and it would go back to MindBody.
Gary, did you have something to say?
So for a long time, MindBody has been saying that they're going to work with QuickBooks and stuff like that. And we've had the hardest time reconciling, but we do have a method of reconciling everything and making sure that everything's reconciled almost to the penny from QuickBooks through MindBody. And I could put you in touch with Daniela, our bookkeeper, and she could kind of walk you through exactly what her process is. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know that it's super important for me to know that the money is actually in the bank account. I do know that it lags behind through MindBody. And I do also know that MindBody is not a good, doesn't work well all the time with QuickBooks. However, it is super useful. MindBody is super useful. And they're reconciling it is super important. So if you want, I could absolutely put you in contact with Danielle, and she could kind of tell you what her process is.
Okay, that'd be great.
There's actually, both ends. Are you sure that the money that you're supposed to be getting from clients is taken from MindBody, right? So you don't have any bad debt or declined cards or things that happened that did not collect money, and that's the front end. And then on the back end, are you sure that it all got put into your account?
Right. So I have the front end part. We reconcile that and make sure that everybody's gotten paid.
Good.
But yeah, it's the back end side. Did it get from MindBody to my account?
Yeah, and that's the tricky part. So hopefully Daniela can help you with that.
Okay, thanks.
Just remind me.
Okay.
Anything else? Any other questions that you have on that?
Not so far.
Okay.
Just scheduling it in, like that, the detail of it is hard to sit down and focus. But I just need to schedule it in and get it, make it habit.
It kind of gets fun, right?
It is fun, but at the other side, I'm like, gosh, it's money, yes, but it's not generating at that moment. So it's just switching my perspective of it. And like, I love the book part of it if I was getting paid for that time to actually sit down and do it.
So, do you have your weekly review scheduled?
No.
Okay.
No, like to sit down and you mean like to do it myself? And no.
Well, is there a point in your week, we talk about the 6-pack, and one of the items on the 6-pack is your daily review. So at the end of the day, review your wins and then review the next day and make any adjustments and outline your tasks and actions for the next day. But do you do that on a weekly basis? Like, do you sit down on a Sunday afternoon or a Friday afternoon and review the whole entire week and plan the next week?
Right. Yeah. So do you add it in during that time?
Yes.
Okay.
Some people, like Gary, likes to review the money every day. Right? I do it once a week. Every Friday, I sit down in the morning. I do it every morning. I sit down and I open up all of my credit card accounts, and I open up my bank account, and I open up my spreadsheet, very similar to what I showed you guys last week, and I reconcile everything once a week. Right? I move money around if there's money that needs to be moved around. If it's bill paying time, I pay bills. I always pay bills like the 15th and the 1st. That's the way it works out for me. So add that into your review time whenever it is.
Okay.
All right. And then it'll become a consistent behavior for you.
Okay.
Are you going to add something, Gary? I guess not.
No. I think that's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's the consistency of it, right? You got to make sure you're doing it every week, because you don't want to have everything coming on you once a month. It makes it harder to reconcile, right? And then you don't do it because, oh my God, it's a beast and it's so hard. And then the next thing you know, 3 months have gone by and you're completely clueless about your money. And remember, the decisions are made based on the numbers, mostly the numbers. Okay. So if you know your numbers, you're going to make smarter decisions.
Correct. Okay.
All right. Good. Anything else? Any other questions about it?
I think that's all I have right now.
Okay. Awesome.
Done.
Sandy, how about you? Where have you managed to get through with all that?
Well, I did, because obviously I don't have any business stuff yet per se. I mean, I do have a spreadsheet ready for it, but I mean, I did all of my home stuff. I got that all reorganized and I made it, according to the same setup that you guys have. So that's all done and up to date. And I mean, I do that at least on a weekly basis, but now I'm going to start, I'm going to get into the weekly planning as well, because I haven't really, I do daily planning. So, I kind of have to work out a little bit of more insight to make up a weekly planning. So,
Remember, what works best is what works for you.
Yeah.
So if daily is the way that works best for you, do it daily, right?
Yeah.
There's no wrong way. There's only your way.
Yeah.
As long as it's getting done.
Sure.
Okay.
No, but just like what you said now, are you putting that somewhere so that, you're aware of it, and then it's easier to be accountable and adapt for it. So that's what I'm saying is I just, put it in there in my weekly planning just in case somehow it slips away or something. So
were there any ahas that came to you as you were doing your home budget?
Freaked out when I saw what I was spending on my credit card.
That's why you can't keep your head in the sand anymore.
Well, I pay it all the time, but when you see what everything adds up to month, I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah. Good. And what about questions or things that just didn't feel right, adjustments that might need to be made?
Well, like you can't budget for everything because there's, at least I don't think you can you? For stuff that's coincidental spending or whatever, or, not really planned.
Look, we're both jumping at the bit to talk about that one. Go ahead, Gary.
No, you go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You absolutely can budget for that kind of stuff.
Okay.
It absolutely can budget for that kind of stuff.
And you should.
You kind of have to, right? You never, very rarely, the last thing that you ever want when it comes to your own personal finances, there's always going to be rainy days. There's always the shit is always going to hit the fan at some point, but you always want to make sure that you're prepared for that, right? And being prepared. So the way I budget for that, I showed you my spreadsheet. I think I sent it to you actually.
Yeah.
And so there's certain areas in the spreadsheet where money just automatically goes.
Yeah.
And that's how I budget for those things. Like something happens with the car and it's $2,000 and you weren't expecting to pay $2,000. Oh my God, I don't have to worry about it because you can take it out of this account because it's already in that account type deal.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I don't have a problem with that, but I'm talking more about, incidental expenditures, like for parking or meals or something like that. I mean,
that's all accounted for, Sandy. So what I would suggest doing is if you haven't gone back through previous months, go back through previous months and get a sense of what you actually have been spending on those incidentals.
Yeah, I got it all together. So, I mean, it's all there in the actual column. It's just, I don't, in some of the things I don't.
So on average, what are you spending per month on meals?
I think it's around say $25 or something like that.
A month?
Yeah, sorry.
Really? $25 a month?
Yeah.
God.
Okay.
I spent that on breakfast.
Well, yeah, I'm not talking about my food budget. I'm talking about if I eat out, like if I have a group meeting or something, then I usually eat at the place where we meet up so that I'm chilled out and I have energy and stuff like that. So that's that kind of thing. So,
well, that's not a huge amount of money to worry about, right?
Yeah.
I'll give you a great example. My children get $50 a month as their allocation for their incidentals, right? And so they know that $50 is what they get for eating out, for hair care, for toiletries, for anything. They put $10 into savings, and then they budget the rest of the money for what they need to.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's something that they want to do, if they want to go out with friends and they don't have money left in the account, they don't go out with the friends, right? So you absolutely can budget the incidentals, and you should budget the incidentals. We have a family budget for our meals and entertainment. It's a little more than $50. It's a little more than $25, but we do have a budget, and we do it each week. And if we see we're creeping up, or at the end of the month we're there, it's clean the pantry time, right? Yeah. So absolutely budget for the incidentals. And again, we talked about Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey does the whole classic blow fund where you have an envelope of cash, and that's what you spend. And once the envelope is empty, you're done for the month. So no coffee, no Slurpees at the 7-Eleven, or no whatever it is that you might want to get. Right? It's important because those are the things that creep in. And those are the things that eat away at the budget that you don't realize that you're spending on. Exactly those kinds of things that kill your budget.
And it's fun at the end of the month when you didn't spend all of that money and there's more money in that envelope at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Right? That's the fun part. And also sometimes with what I do with taxes is, with incidentals, but this is sometimes when you have a one-time payment of something. So for like lawn care or landscaping and snow removal, what I do is I definitely put it down for exactly how much it is, but I also want to know how much on a monthly average I would have to spend or save for that particular item. So if it costs, just for number's sake, $1,200 for the year for snow removal, I divide it by 12, so then it's $120 a month, or $100 a month. Sorry.
Yeah, 100. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do that.
So it's kind of like forecasting. It's not.
I do that. That works for me.
Okay.
Doesn't work for everybody.
Well, but you're right, Sandy. Once we've done this for a while and we have the history, so, this time, June 1, 2017, when it comes time to build our budget for the entire year, we're going to be able to look back and see where our big expenditures were and plug them in going forward. And it's a beautiful forecasting tool. Absolutely, because now it's real. I mean, Gary can look and see that in the spring he spent a lot more on landscaping because his whole yard needed to be mulched, right? So you'll put that money allocated for that month, right? In Christmas time, budget went up a little bit because there was Christmas presents or whatever. So you'll be able to do a beautiful forecasting for the following year because you'll have all the history from the previous year. And that's going to work in your business as well. You'll understand and get a sense of what marketing dollars went well over what months and be able to allocate for the same period of time going forward. When did you pay taxes? When did you pay insurance? When did those big allocations happen? And we'll be able to forecast for them as well. When did you have a down month, right? Maybe there's some trends in terms of months where your revenue wasn't as high because of vacations or whatever. You'll be able to see the trends and forecast beautifully.
Okay.
Sandy, Stacy, did you have a question?
No, I was just going to say, so you have it left over, so you spend it right then. I was just joking.
Sometimes you do. All right. Any, besides the fact that you didn't realize how much you were spending on some items, are there any other ahas, Sandy?
No, not really.
Okay. And what about struggles, adjustments, things that just didn't feel right?
No, it was just basically changing perspective and just kind of turning things around and accepting it.
Accepting what? What are you accepting?
Accepting, the new format and the way of, keeping track of things and stuff like that, and as opposed to how I've done it in the past.
Okay. Now, in the past, when you were doing it, were you getting the same result of well, probably not because you had a big aha, but what's different from what you were doing now versus what you were doing before?
That it's all split up, basically,
Say that for here, I think they would actually look at the decisions.
Okay, go ahead.
That it's all kind of split up, like you guys have set, for what your income is, your savings. I have fixed expenses, variable expenses, and cash. From the ATM and stuff like that, and
more detail.
Just instead of basically just listing it. And then, like, for me was, okay, it was great to have the insight, but, like, for instance, the most important thing to me was, like, how much am I spending on my food budget, because all the other things were kind of set more or less. So that was my key focus in the past, and now it's kind of set up that it's a little bit more transparent than before.
Okay. All right. Good.
So,
Helgi, how about you? Are you with us? There you are.
Yes, I'm right here. I haven't been able to get to it. So I didn't just put it on my calendar. So that's why I didn't probably do it.
Okay. For you, it's hugely important. It's for everybody, it's important. But given the recent influx in your business, we need to make sure we're managing and we know what's coming in and what's coming out. So we're going to hold you accountable and ask you the same question next week.
Okay.
Did you have any questions based on, I don't believe you were on the call last week. Were you able to watch last week's call?
No, I wasn't able to watch it either.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so we're going to give you a bye this week, but show up next week.
Yeah, I will.
Okay. Jeff, can you hear us? We muted you. I don't see you, but I know you're on the call. I'm going to unmute you. I'm going to try and unmute you. There you go.
I've gotten 90% of it done. I have to sit down with my wife and go through like her side of things.
Okay, any questions or ahas?
No, because our stuff is like we've done that in the last couple years. But there are some areas where we could definitely sit down and discuss where we're spending money and how we're doing it. So I think it's an eye opener that way of just sitting down and seeing we potentially could be saving more money.
Good. Good. Okay. Any questions or things that just don't feel right?
No, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Once you just start organizing it, how you want it.
Right. And have you added it to your weekly review?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out where I'm going to put it.
Okay.
I just don't want to. It may be a separate, like a complete separate time that I review it. So I'm trying to figure out where to put it. That's the best place.
Okay. All right. As long as it gets put somewhere.
Yeah.
Perfect. Do you have any questions? Did we lose them?
I was talking to myself and I was completely on mute. Sandy, you raised your hand for a question.
Well, I was just curious because I don't know what QuickBooks and MindBody is.
They're softwares for Stacy's fitness company, but QuickBooks is a software. It's an accounting software, something that I don't think that you need right now.
Okay, no, then
it's an accounting software.
Okay.
Unless committee you feel otherwise that.
Nope. We'll keep it simple for right now, Sandy.
Yeah.
Body, unless you get really big and need to manage automated payments more so than PayPal, you don't need MindBody.
No, okay.
No, you're good. There's many other ways to do it.
Okay.
All right, Sandy, yesterday you had a question. Why don't you just tell us again about your meetup and the question you had about selling to the group?
Well, I just find it, because I was with a group of 4 other people, and then you're not talking about somebody's specific problems. The meeting went well, etc. But then I find it hard to. Well, it got to the point where one person had to leave, and then it was kind of like splitting up. So it wasn't like I really couldn't pitch. And you really don't have control of the conversation per se when you have, several other people there as opposed to a one-on-one consultation. So I don't know if you have any advice regarding that.
All right. So first, tell me why you don't feel like you have control over the conversation.
Well, because if I'm explaining something and then all of a sudden somebody comes in and I have a question, and then this one starts with a question, and and then I answer the question, of course, but then it goes back and forth. So in a group, it's.
So are you allowing in your meetings to have sort of group discussion, or do you want to manage it to where it's really you answering a question back and forth? Tell me what the premise of the meeting is.
Well, it was basically an introduction to mindset for people that are interested in mindset.
Okay. All right. And so when you ask a question, though, are you engaging group conversation, or are you just asking questions specifically of specific people?
No, I wasn't even asking questions per se, but one of the participants had a question that he wanted to have answer.
Okay.
And so we kind of went off on that tangent, which I don't think per se is a bad thing, but it's, okay, then there wasn't the typical order of what my presentation is, but I think the hardest thing is then.
Allow for question and answer at the end.
Well, the thing is that it broke up before we really even got to that point because somebody had to leave, and then everybody was like, okay, well, this is good, and we're gonna go, and I'm like, okay, well, if you have any more, like I said, there were a couple of people that were interested. I mean, we were there for like an hour and a half, so I mean, it wasn't like we were there 10 minutes. There was a lot of discussion about various things about mindset, etc. And but then it's just hard to say, well, okay, for my feeling, it wasn't at the point to be able to pitch somebody a product per se, but also I don't know about, I don't think they were ready to receive a pitch per se.
Sure.
And also pitching to several people or having one pitch for several people at the same time.
So a couple things. Number one, you need to own your facilitation role. You're the facilitator of the meeting. And so it is in your court to manage the meeting and be in charge. So I would absolutely, if somebody asks a question that kind of breaks up your presentation, say, you know what, that's a great question. I'm going to hold it till the end because I want to finish where we are, and then I'm going to open it up for questions. So hold that thought. Completely within your realm to say that. And you should as a facilitator, because then what happens is you lose control. I don't know if you remember in the change maker, right? Those that are asking the questions are in control of the conversation.
Yeah.
So you always be the one to ask the question or turn the question around to get back into where you are in your presentation. All right. Now, if group discussion ensues, which is great, you want group discussion because, you can provide a lot in that group discussion. Again, you need to manage that discussion. So if it gets off target, if it gets too far out of hand, again, as a facilitator, it's your responsibility to bring it back and say, look, guys, this is all great conversation. We're running out of time. I've got a few more things that I want to share with you. So let's table these conversations until the end.
Okay.
All right. So own your facilitation role.
Okay.
As far as your pitch, I wonder if you're just pitching the wrong thing, right? The in a group, you're right. You're not going to be able to get one-on-one with folks to really understand what they need. So your goal should be to get them to a one-on-one. So what I would pitch is your consultation call, the one-on-one phone call, or whatever you want to call it, right? That's where you want to get people to, because that's where you can ask the specific probing questions of each of them, understand their needs, understand their problems, build the value specifically for them, and then pitch the specific product. Very hard to do that for a group, especially if the group is all at different levels. There's only a few people in this world that I know that can pitch to a group great. One of them is Brian. The other one's my husband. It's very difficult to do. Very difficult to do. So I would always drive your meetup people, just like you're doing within your Facebook groups, to the one-on-one calls.
Okay.
All right. And then go forward from there.
Okay, well, I mean, I waited with my second follow-up until, our meeting today. So I figure I'll do another follow-up with everyone and, then just invite them to do a one-on-one call and then work through things more specifically. And then I can do a pitch for them at that point.
So what in your follow-up, what are you doing in your follow-up?
Well, I mean, I do the initial follow-up that, thanking people that they came. And if they have any questions or more information, to drop me a line. And, as I said, there were a couple of people there that they indicated that they were interested in coaching. So I figured, I'd wait a couple of days afterwards and, contact them again and see if they wanted to set up an individual consultation and then talk further about their personal situation. And then I can approach it and, like you said here, kind of find out what the TOMA is and, pitch from there.
All right. Awesome. So when you said in that initial follow-up, there were a couple people, did they respond to you from that initial follow-up and say, yes, I'm interested in more information?
No.
It came from the meetup.
Yeah.
Okay. All
They
right.
said it at the meeting, so, you
Okay.
know,
And then you sent them the follow-up and you did not hear anything back.
no.
Okay. All right. So good. Follow up. When you get response, don't be wishy-washy.
Mhm.
Great. I'm happy to talk with you. I have these times available. Which one works for you?
Mhm.
Okay. Assume that the response for them is absolutely yes, I want to talk,
Mhm.
and set the time. Give them options for days and times right away.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, in those one-on-ones, it's the same thing. You're in charge, right? You ask the
Yeah, that's
question.
easier to steer, you know, because also there's a very different hierarchy in Holland when you're in a meeting or whatever. It's very okay for people just to jump in and start asking questions or, you know, interacting
I
in a
don't think that's
meeting.
Holland. I think that happens everywhere.
Well, yeah, okay, more so my experience here than I had in the States in any
Yeah.
case. So, but anyhow, so, okay.
All right, great. Does anybody else, I'm sorry, Gary, did you want to add anything? No. Okay. Anybody else have any questions, or I've muted you all. So if you have, oh, Stacy, did you have something?
I do. Mine's about an event that I'm planning in Colorado Springs. And so I have a guy there that's helping me get the word out. So he's going to kind of be working with his network, and then I have my network that's out there. Do I do it? Should I just focus on doing it all online, or trying to get them some type of print material to get out?
Do you have a budget?
Not, I probably will after I finish my worksheet.
Print, when you say print, are you thinking like postcards, letters?
Yeah, I've seen just little postcard things, but
Print is very expensive and doesn't work all the time. It's something that should be tested. I'd see how much it'll cost you. Don't forget mailing, creation, all of it has to be considered. How many people would you send it out to?
Well, I would just try to get them, like the people that I know, somehow get them the postcards, and they would just distribute them for me. Like if they have a,
It's not like
like
you're
my
going to
cousin has
mail
a
them. It might be like a flyer. So it's not going to get actually mailed in the mail. They'll just hand them
No.
out.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. You could try that. Just see how much it's going to cost you to get them printed and what your budget looks like.
Okay.
But again, what are you going to put on the postcard?
I figured I'd put well, that's my hard part, is creating it.
Right.
I would put whatever I'm putting on my online events, but I haven't got that done yet.
Tell me what the event is about.
It is, I called it a Free Your Mind, like workshop, or I haven't event. So,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not as creative that way, but it is just going around and giving them, it's going to be a 2.5 hour program.
Okay.
And that I'll go through like the 4 A's and how mindset can affect your life, and the changes that it could, how it could change your life. See, I'm looking at my outline of it, like a fixed versus dynamic mindset. Then I haven't exactly decided if I would go into letting them create an avatar, if that would be too much for that amount of time.
All right.
But
all that's great. So those are the features. Have you identified the benefits? So for me, coming to your events, how's it going to change my life? What is the benefit to me?
I would say things like creating more time in your day.
Okay, to do what? For what reason? Make it relatable. So creating more time in my day is a very esoteric, out there kind of thing, right?
Okay.
But how does that relate to your target market? So is there a specific target market?
Yeah, not really.
Okay.
I mean,
let's say it's a busy mom, right? creating more time in your day to work out, or to spend time with your kids, or to do that hobby that you've always wanted to do, right? Make the benefit relatable to who your audience is.
Okay.
Right.
So how do you pick that audience when you're going into a demographic, like you have somebody helping you get the word out? How do you
who is helping you get the word out?
He owns he runs a gym.
Okay. And
and fitness stuff. So yeah, I guess it would kind of be fitness related.
So he owns a gym, so it's going out to his members.
Right.
And typically, who is his member? He should know that.
Yeah. Okay. But I'm thinking like the rest of my network, like I'm thinking my cousin's a teacher. Okay. Well, so it's like there's all the people that are my network out there. They're just completely different demographics.
Okay. But one of the benefit, create more time, will relate to them specifically in ways that you can be brought about for exercise, right? For that hobby that you've always wanted to do.
Okay.
Right? Put a seed in their head that like, oh yeah, maybe I can go take that cooking class. Or gosh, wouldn't it be awesome to be able to do yoga twice a week instead of once a month?
Okay.
All right. So the benefit relates to a specific need or want. So give me another one. Let's brainstorm a little bit.
I would go back to just business building, for like the entrepreneur, like breaking through like whatever why you're not getting there.
Getting where?
I go back to that. I'm like, those are some of the things that it's helped me with.
Okay, but getting where? Why you're not getting where? You say why you're not getting there. Where is there?
Right. Okay. So
right.
That would be part of the.
Yeah, that's the benefit.
Okay. So why you're not creating the life that you have envisioned?
And which would be potentially what? What life have you envisioned?
More freedom of time, more money.
What? To do what? More freedom of time to do what? More money to do what? Take it a step further, right? Because people have heard that over and over, right? Create more time, create more money, follow my system and you'll be happy. But why? Why?
Okay.
Right? Answer the why.
So when you're doing that, how much are you just doing keywords, or like actually, like say it's on a postcard? I mean, how much? I keep thinking space.
Yeah, on a postcard you're limited, so you kind of need to be creative.
Okay.
I think I tossed it, but I had one client who, let me check the trash, who, here you go. This is kind of it. It's not, so the one she did a postcard, can you see this? And it's filled with words, right? That this is actually why successful people journal. And she just put ponder and pen your big dreams, track your past victories, find clarity by writing it out, record your precious moments, right? So all of things that you want to do while you're journaling, just a pile of words. So you could do something like that, cooking classes, yoga, and just put words on the postcard that resonate with people in terms of things that they actually want to embrace in their life.
Okay.
It's just an idea, throwing it out
there.
So
you never know.
You never know, right? You could put me on the spot when you ask for these ideas right off the top of my head. Thankfully, the postcard does not need room for return address and mailing address and all that, right? Because it's not getting mailed. So you actually have more room where you could even put a story, right? Tell a story about somebody who struggled, maybe yourself, what you struggled with, and how your life is different now because of the things that you've done from a mindset perspective. Might be the best way to do it. Tell a story, but a story that is really relatable.
Okay.
Specifically, you're now able to spend more quality time with your kids, and you're present with them, which means you're on the floor playing with the Legos versus, they're in one room while you're cooking, right? That's not time with your kids, right? You can go take the hikes. You're able to go do your yoga or whatever it is, right? You can do it just by telling a story as well.
Okay.
I missed some of the conversation, but is some of the stuff that you were talking about put on a postcard, like in just words, not pictures or anything like that, to keep the cost down, is social proof of people that you've already worked with and why kind of they should be working with you and how that changed their lives? Because that only takes like eight words.
Yeah.
Is that what you guys are talking about?
That's part of it. You could absolutely do that. Just make sure that those 8 words again are about the true benefit,
right?
Not the feature.
Yeah.
Right.
I can play with my kids now because, or whatever.
Yeah.
Stacey's awesome in her program. Showed me how to create the time to play with my kids more.
Okay.
Get it?
Yep.
Okay.
And just have a bunch of the snippets on one side and then the details of the event on the other side.
That works. Yeah.
Okay.
And all the same things that are on your postcard should be online as well.
Right.
Right? I mean, your online marketing should be mostly social proof, stories, benefits. Features are little. Down at the bottom, this is what you'll get.
Yeah. See, and I feel like lately, I do the videos, and then this morning, all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm not creating a story or a video about anything that, like, to act upon. People are like, oh, yeah, that makes so much sense. But then what? So I just need to re-look at what I'm putting on
Well,
Facebook.
what's your call to action in your video?
Well, right now it's been keep an eye out for the details on this Colorado Springs event. And then if you're not in the area, what's that?
Sorry, I was just going to say that does leave you with a what now, right?
Yeah.
That does. Are you?
Or like, why is this for me type thing? Like I say, like my video the other day was how you should spend, you need to be paying attention to yourself, taking care of yourself, because how are you supposed to give back to others? And then I'm like, I feel like I'm just saying a lot of stuff that they can get anywhere, like not creating the,
well, and
let me work with Stacey.
And that's where, as Gary just said, the story and the social proof comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you can start off your video and then tell the story about my friend Monica or my client Jane, let me tell you her story and what changes she found in her life.
Okay.
That's what resonates with people. If they can relate to somebody that you've helped, they're going to be like, oh, Eric and I were talking last night, again, I'm going to bring Brian up because nobody does this better than Brian. If you read Brian's emails and his sales copy, he is speaking to you, right? Is he not? Is he not? He is, and he resonates because of he's sharing stories and he's sharing situations that we relate to. I mean, Eric said it last night. It's like he's speaking to me. And that's what you want to craft. Like you're speaking to them. And the best way to do that is absolutely by sharing the stories and getting deep inside of what the true need or want is. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But isn't it not sometimes that story of that true need and want is or has been the true need and want that you've wanted? I've talked to Brian a lot about that. Does that make sense to you? Like,
say it again.
The true need and want that your customer wants, right? That Brian is so eloquently is able to articulate in words in an email.
Mm-hmm.
Is those are needs and wants that Brian himself has had or wants or has been through. So what are the things, needs, and wants that you've been through that can relate to that individual? And one of the smartest marketers in the world told me a few weeks ago that stories and social proof are key elements of selling anything.
It's true. And he is the smartest marketer in the world.
Who were you talking to?
Sorry, Eric Ruth.
Yeah.
But
it's
that's
true.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, I'm just agreeing with you.
That's why it's so relatable, Stacy and guys, is because in like the reality of all the scheme of things that people tell you to do and all that life goes on, there's like a half a dozen things that people are afraid of, that people think all the time, that all this stuff. You guys have been all of you guys have been through MPI with self-worth and all of your egos and all of this stuff. So if you actually just go back, it's not really that hard to dissect, because you're not the only person that feels this way, right? There's 7 billion people in this world, and I bet all 7 billion people at one point in time have felt that same exact way, right? Nobody is God. Nobody is superhuman where they don't have these feelings. So when you have that feeling or that thought or that whatever, you put it down into a story, people relate to that. And that's why Eric Ruth said, Brian Grosso's talking to me, because Eric Ruth, I'm sure, had that feeling one time. We complicate it too much.
Oh, absolutely. That's key right there. Overthink it. Don't overthink it. One of the best things you can do from a marketing standpoint is just be yourself. Be authentic and be real. And don't worry about the people that you're not relating to. Worry about the ones you are relating to. Speak to them, because they are out there, just like Gary said. They are listening. And once you tell them what to do, they will raise their hand.
Absolutely will raise their hand. And one thing I wanted to tell you, Sandy, was that in your meetup, did you have one meetup? Was it just one thus far? Two. So, and I don't know that you're feeling this way at all, and I'm sure that you're not, because you do have a rock star kind of mindset. It does take time, though, right? Yeah.
Hold on. You're muted. Okay, go ahead.
I have like 40 people in the group, and people just keep on joining, and I'm like, I posted stuff, and I've even posted to people, you can look at my Facebook account, because since I'm doing more videos, I'm not doing a lot of text momentarily. So I said, if you want to see what I'm doing and what I'm talking about, you can go there. But when it comes time for a real meetup, there comes maybe 3 to 5 people. Okay, I've only had 2, but I don't know what I would do. Well, yeah, it would be a challenge if I had a room full of 40 people, but it's like,
I saw.
And you don't get any response. You don't get any feedback. People join. I'm like, why are people joining? What is the attraction?
Go ahead, Camille.
Well, 2 things. First of all, the fact that you're getting anybody to show up is huge. When I first opened my studio, we would have event after event after event, and rarely do people show up. It's just difficult. It's difficult. Now, there are some things you could do to encourage show up. One of those is to charge something.
Yeah. Now,
the way to alleviate that charge is to make it a donation and support a charity, right? People, they love free, but they don't put value on free, right? And so if something comes up that morning and they're like, oh, I want to go do that. Well, this is nothing, this meetup. I can go anytime, so I'm not going to go. Okay. So people love free, but again, they don't value free. So
Okay.
absolutely, just charge a small fee, but make it a donation to your favorite charity. And I forgot the other point. What else did you say? You said something at the end. What did you say at the end? Gary, do you remember what she said at the end?
She asked how come, like, why are they even here? I thought that was a big one. Like, why are people even
Why
on
are
my
they
page?
joining?
Like, and asking them.
I've got
Yeah.
like 42
Well, yeah.
people.
Yeah. So clearly what you're saying to them or what they're hearing from you resonates, which is why they're joining, right? So 40 people is great. Well, of course, you've given them some reason to join. It came out of your mouth, right? Came out of your words. You gave them something. So let's remember one thing. And this is something I used to always tell my clients. There's a byline for people, right? And so something triggers an interest, right? Way back here. They're like, oh, that's interesting. Click, I'm in. I'm going to opt in, which is what they're really basically doing is they're opting in. And then they just kind of go along, listening, kind of paying attention. Oh, there's a meetup. Do I want to go? No, not really. And they keep on going, listening, paying attention, kind of quasi, but then boom, something happens. All right, something happens. Maybe they have a death, or maybe their husband leaves them, or maybe they're like fed up with their life and realize their relationship sucks. Something happens that triggers that buy impulse. You don't know if that's going to be in a week or in 3 months or 3 years. You have no idea. But because you're the one that has continually spoken to them, right? However quietly you may be speaking to them, or they may not be listening as loudly as you would like them to, when that trigger hits, boom, it's you that they're going to come to. Right? So that's why it's important to continue to nurture that relationship forever. Just because they're there, sure, some trigger may not hit yet to buy, but they eventually will. You just don't know when. And what you're doing along the way is building the know you, like you, trust you foundation. Clearly something about you triggered that in them because they raised their hand and said, I want more. And they're paying attention. Maybe not as much as you would like them to, but they're paying attention. And they will, at some point, buy from you. Just keep that consistent flow of information and value. Remember, value is important too, to this.
So then should I just try and generate more text for them? Because I'm not sure how many people from the meetup group are going to Facebook. Because I can't post videos on the meetup group.
Yeah,
So.
Everywhere that you have your groups of people, you need to be building the relationship. So if you have a group of Facebook people, you build a relationship with them. If you have your meetup people, you build a relationship with them. If you have an email list, you build a relationship with them. Always. Don't ignore anybody. All right, great. Does anybody have anything? We need to shut it down here in a minute, but does anybody have any final thoughts or questions or anything? All good?
All right.
Okay, perfect. Well, then everybody go out and hit it. And Gary, you go get better.
Yeah, feel better, Gary.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you next week.
Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.